Some analysts are saying that now, after Kosovo is somehow settled or on the way to be settled, Bosnia is to be more focused by the U.S. administration and so, and that there is going to be a pressure even of the smaller part of Bosnia, RS. What do you say on that?
Well, I think that the Kosovo issue is far from being settled. I think we have a start, hopefully, in a process that will bring peace and settlement, but it's a long, long way off. I think we have to do everything we can to make that happen, to make peace happen. The same thing in Bosnia. Bosnia went through a terrible civil war, and it's easy. We remember the men who were slaughtered in Bosnia. And Bosnia has always been, I think, on the front burner of everybody's equation, certainly on my front burner, that there needs to be more work for the international community in Bosnia. So I don't think that what happens in Kosovo necessarily affects what happens in Bosnia, other than the fact that it means that the international community is engaged in the Balkans, and if it's engaged in the Balkans and engaged in Kosovo and engaged in Serbia, it will also more likely be engagement in Bosnia as well. And we have, as you know, many outstanding issues that are still not yet resolved, and I think at some point the international community needs to take a closer look and try to resolve some of those outstanding issues in Bosnia.
The reason that I'm asking you actually this, it's because some people believe that Kosovo was on the priority list for American administration, and even here in Congress you may hear more voices talking about Kosovo than Bosnia. And Bosnia is somehow forgotten issue. So I'm asking you actually again, whether now when the Kosovo is on the way to be settled, on Bosnia will be put more focus than before, and what is going to happen with smaller entity, as they call it, Republika Srpska, after this, what should be done actually to be moved from there?
Well, one of the reasons I said that I didn't support Mr. Rohrbacher's proposal to start moving boundaries, and I mentioned in my testimony that Republika Srpska might, in that case, want to move toward a union with Serbia. And then you would leave Bosnia in a little small statelet, which would be very, very difficult for it to sustain itself. So I think that we need to be aware of the fact that what we do in one place affects another place. I don't really know, to answer your question directly, if the fact that we're now focusing on Kosovo again, that it would mean that we're then going to focus on Bosnia. But I want to assure you that people like me have not forgotten about Bosnia. To me, resolving the disputes and situations in Bosnia is very important, and as I said before, the United States needs to be, and I believe, actively involved in all of this, because I find that if the United States doesn't get involved, the Europeans very often don't move forward. So I think it needs our active involvement. I think we can play a very positive role for Kosovo and for Bosnia as well.
So will it happen that the United States again will move actually and be engaged not as it used to be? Obviously Bosnia is not on the top of the priority, but again after Kosovo will move toward Bosnia.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the answer would be yes. The administration, President Obama, his administration, they have to make their own decisions on this. But I think if the president would ask me my opinion, I would tell him yes. I think we should never forget our friends in Bosnia. I was in Sarajevo right after all the fighting there, and I have a picture in my office on the wall of me walking through the streets of Sarajevo with the American general who was in charge. So that picture is always on my wall here in Washington, and I always remember it. So I have not forgotten it, and I know there are other people here who also haven't forgotten about it and who care about it as I do. So my answer is yes, and I hope that we can continue to again be engaged in the Balkans, and if I have my say, we will.
Thank you very much, Congressman Engel. And would you go to Bosnia soon, or do you have any plans?
I have no plans. I'm doing all my travel, but I would certainly love to return to Bosnia again. We have to remember, we always say that the Balkans is a powder keg, everything, and we remember how World War I started. I was a history major. It started right in Sarajevo, and I remember being in Sarajevo and walking over to that spot where the killing occurred, and to me it was like being in a history book. So I think that we are aware.
Probably next year you will travel.
Well,
there is a big celebration to remembering of the 100 years of beginning of the World War I. So,
well, I'll give it a good long hard look.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.